Hey everybody, this is Tim Hepworth here with Fly Fishing Boarder Outfitters and Thursday Night Live Fly Tying. I'm here to bring you another quick tie tonight. We're going to do Season 4, Episode 3. We're doing the soft hackle pheasant tail today. It's going to look something like this. So go ahead, grab your kit. If you do not already have one of our Thursday Night Live Season 4 kits, you can still go over to flyfishingboarder.com /TNLS4 and you can still pick one of those up today, okay? Let's go ahead, let's open this up. We're gonna grab our Season 4, Episode 3 bag. It's gonna look just like this. Okay, go in, grab the one out of the back of it that looks like it's got a nymph in it. We're gonna go ahead and get our super small hook. It's gonna be a size 16 with appropriate bead set in our vise. Let's get over to the vise and we'll go through it. So I'm gonna use some really small thread today. I'm gonna use some nano in white. Nano thread, just like it, super strong, and leaves lots of extra room on there, it doesn't build up. But use something small. If you're taking out your kit, go ahead and grab that A-dot that we provided for you in your kits this year. You could go with an olive or a black, something like that is totally fine. Okay, let's go ahead, let's get our thread started just behind the bead. I'm gonna work it back to just on top of the bend of the hook. Come in here, trim out that tag. Okay. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in and tie in the super small, extra small wire that we're using, okay? This stuff here. I like to put this in first. I'm gonna tie it on the near side of the fly towards me. Make sure I got that secured down, bring my thread back, right to the bend. We get that out of the way. Next thing we're gonna do, guys, we're gonna go in and grab some pheasant tail. Big portion of what we're doing tonight is working with this pheasant tail. We're gonna build our body and our tail out of it. So you wanna have somewhere between 8 to 10 of these little tail fibers. So you wanna keep the tips as aligned as you can. Let's grab those. We're gonna measure a tail that's roughly a full hook length in length out the back of the fly. We're gonna set it back over here, but I'll show you how we can adjust that tail length. So let's go ahead right here and put 2 thread wraps, making sure it stays right up on top of the fly. You can grab the butts and make sure. Now I can see, pull my wire out of the way, I can see how long my tail is. That's too long for what I want. So now I can just grab on this and pull it forward a bit. I like where that's sitting there. So now I'm gonna go ahead, take one more extra thread wrap so it's not going anywhere. And now what I like to do, guys, a little trick is leave my thread where it is right here. I'm gonna go ahead and grab the butts of this pheasant tail and I'm gonna start my palmer forward. So I'm gonna first wrap, go back and cover up over my thread wraps. And then I'm gonna just lean that against my thread as I move up the fly. Reason for doing this is that it keeps each and every one of those little pheasant tail fibers together. It doesn't allow them to push out on their own or try to jump ahead. Just lean it against your thread as you move it forward. Okay, I'm gonna finish off this one wrap here. Gonna come in, lock that down. Couple wraps behind, couple wraps in front. Make sure it's not going anywhere. And we can trim that out. Pheasant tail can be a little bit of a softer or more brittle material to work with, so we're just going to take that wire that we have there now. We're also just going to open spiral it forward. Gives a little bit of flash segmentation, and it also secures that pheasant tail all the way up to where we left our thread. Wrap behind, wrap in front. Go ahead and grab your buddy scissors. Don't use any good ones, but get in there and trim out that wire. Make sure it's down. And now we're going to take and wrap some thread wraps back, leaving about a full bead length behind the bead, open like so. Okay, next material we're going to go in there with is our peacock curl. Peacock curl is going to be what we use to build our thorax. I'm going to go and grab that brittle tip and pull that off. And I'm going to tie this in right here. Make sure I tie it right back to the end of that opening. And now I'm just going to palmer this forward, creating a nice thorax. Just like so. Gonna bring it all the way up to behind the bead. Take our thread, get some wraps behind it and in front of it. Trim it out. Just like that. And now the mainstay of what we're doing today is working with this idea of a soft hackle. So we've got these really tiny little soft hackle feathers in your kits there. Most of the time these are pulled off of a partridge or a quail or a grouse. Could also be, this one isn't, but you could also get them off of a gray partridge or what we would call a Hungarian partridge. Looks something like this. Each of them kind of have their own unique marks. These ones are kind of barred. It kind of gives those legs a little different appearance. Okay, what we're gonna do to start off with is we're gonna pull all the fluff off the bottom of this feather. You can strip it right off. We're not gonna use it. Okay. Now we're left with something that looks like this. Now we need to go right up to the very, very tip and start pulling the fibers down, not taking them off, just pulling them back away from that tip. And we want to get as far up as we can, because the farther we go up, that's where those smaller, more uniform legs are going to be, which is what we want to use. Okay, so I'm going to switch my hands. So I got my non-dominant hand running the back end of this so I can trim this. So once I've isolated that tip like so, I want to come in here and trim out a little triangle, because that's what we're going to use to tie in with. So I'm left with that little triangle there. And now these feathers have an underside and a top side. The top side looks quite dark in color, and like so, and then the other side looks quite dull, the underside. So we want the underside pointed rearward back down the fly. I'm going to come in here and tie in just that top triangle on this feather. Sometimes got to kind of pull it and hold it back out of the way, so it looks like so when I go to tie it in. Tie it in right up against the bead and that nice peacock curl. Wrap both sides, both in front and behind, as we tie it in. You can trim out that little bit that's extra there. I'm going to throw a quick half hitch in here to save my work. And I'm going to get my thread out of the way so I can start wrapping this pheasant tail, or sorry, wrapping this hackle feather. So it's really small. I like to come in here with some hackle pliers. Okay. Now all we're going to do is wrap basically 1.5, just over 1, full time, kind of making sure that those fibers want to stay rearward. Then I'll bring my thread back in, make sure I really get a hold of that stem, kind of behind it and then in front of it, and lock it in so it's not going anywhere. The last thing you want is for that stuff to come off and you to lose it. So I'm going to come in here, I'm going to trim out the stem, try not to cut any of the rest of those little fibers that I've just put in there. And now I'm going to take a few thread wraps, stroking them back so they stay out of the way. We don't want to cause all of those legs to lay flat, or this collar to lay flat, but I like where it's sitting right there. Okay, we want it to sit just a little bit up. I'm going to go ahead and whip finish this fly, and we're going to call it good. Come in here, just like that. Trim out my thread, and that is going to be our soft hackle pheasant tail. Good looking bug. You definitely want to have a few of these in your box in varying sizes and even varying colors, just like that. Okay, it's been another quick tie with Tim Hepworth and Fly Fishing Bover Outfitters on Thursday Night Live. We'll see you next time.